welcome to Life Stories with Bussy, and my name is Busola Dele David. I'm so excited. This is 2022. I'm so excited that we made it to 2022. It's a good thing to be alive, and it's a good time to be alive. I pray that this year will bring you everything that you desire. I pray that this year will be a good year for you. So on Life Stories today, we're going to be talking about two sides of a coin. And I have a caller on the line. So I have online today Toyin, and Toyin will be talking to us about how a proprietress. Now, Toyin is no longer she's no longer in primary school. Toyin is no longer in primary school, but someone touched her life years ago, and she's here to tell us how that happened. Okay, so let me see if she's online there. Hello, Toyin.
Hi, this is
Hey, how you doing?
very well, thank
Happy
you.
New Year. Welcome to 2022.
Thank you, same to you.
Okay. I hope you have you written your own New Year resolutions?
Yes, you bet.
I know some of us never keep our New Year resolutions. I know some of us never keep our New Year resolutions, but I'm sure that, we'll do something that is sustainable, things that we can keep, a step at a time.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, so Toyin, you're here to tell us about something that totally changed the course of your life. And you're going to tell us a side of a coin, because there's another person with another story, which is another side of the coin. And we're going to be comparing the two sides of the coin and see how, a simple act of kindness can go a long way. Okay. Okay, so you have the floor.
Thank you. So, I grew up in Ibadan, Oyo State, Nigeria, and I attended a primary school in the 80s.
Okay.
Everything was going on fine until sometime in the mid-80s, my dad had some business issues, economic crunch and all that. And that affected his ability to pay our school fees because it was a private primary school. The name of the school is Edmisery Nursery and Primary Institution.
Okay.
So children were chased out of school from time to time because of lack of payment of fees. I once caught a glimpse of the list that was used to call out children's names, and I realized our names were on that list, but we were never called out.
Okay.
Apparently, due to a favor my parents had done the proprietress and their family a long time ago, or probably just because they were friends. I don't know whatever the reason was, but I knew our names were never called out. But by the time I got into primary 5, there were 4 of us, myself and 3 other younger siblings in that school at that time. By my primary 5 first term, I think it became obvious to my dad that the outstanding fees were too much and he may not be able to pay it, and incurring more would cause more issues for him.
Okay.
So without consulting us, he actually decided to pull us all out of the private primary school and take us to a public primary school where we didn't have to pay fees. He came to my school on a certain day, and it was strange. Dad didn't used to come to our school. It was our mom that used to come. So when I was told my dad was around, I ran downstairs to see what my dad came to do. So I went to the part of the school that was being used as admin block. And just as I was about barging into the proprietress office, I heard my dad's voice. And then I stood back, and apropos that I was, I dropped on the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So, a conversation between my dad and the proprietress, Mrs. Christiana Adikea, was that he wanted to pull us all out of the school and take us to a public primary school.
Okay.
So Mrs. Adikea said that would be a problem, but that he should please not take Toyin out. Toyin only has one more year to go, and Toyin is one of our brilliant students. So please, Daddy, leave Toyin. In her words, she said, Toyin or something like that. And my dad was like, no, it will be too much stress for you. He argued it and all that. But the woman insisted and said, you can take everybody else. Leave Toyin for me. And I ran back to my class. My father never knew I heard that conversation. Mrs. Adesina never knew I heard that conversation. And I didn't understand the impact of what I heard until much later. When I was in primary 6, I was the only person that was returned to school. My younger siblings were all taken to a public primary school in Ibadan, Army Children's School. It was not a good school by any standard. Anyway, I remained in misery, and my life practically turned around. I had to write the state common entrance and the federal common entrance, and that got me admission into a federal government college. I wrote those exams with a passion. I wrote it with everything within me because Mrs. Adesina died while I was in primary 6.
Wow.
She died in second term primary 6. She died of cancer.
Wow.
So apparently she had been battling cancer before then, and she did not, we didn't know, we didn't have an idea what she was battling, but she died. But one thing that stood out for me was the fact that even after she died, I was not once chased out of school for lack of paying or fee.
Wow.
And then it occurred to me that this woman possibly left an instruction for me to be in school all through, despite what she was going through. And that one decision she made, that one life that she touched, I don't know how many others, I only know of myself, but that one life that she touched has been, has actually changed everything, because I could not have gone to the secondary school that I went to if I had changed school. My association would have been different, my perception to life would have been different, so many things would have changed. And my ability to even see life the way I see it now would have been different, And I am eternally grateful to this tradition. I'm eternally grateful to God and every other person that has helped me in my life journey. Mine is a story of someone God has helped. Mine is a story of someone people have helped. So many people God has used to help me. But Mrs. Adesina's story stands out for me because it's, she knew she was dying. There were too many cancer cases then. It was almost like a death sentence. She knew she was dying. But despite that, she touched my life. She knew I couldn't pay her back. No.
Yes, there was no way you could have paid her back. She knew that she was dying anyway.
And
she still left an instruction that they shouldn't take you out of that school.
Yes. Wow. And that for me is huge.
Wow, that's really huge. It's a huge thing.
Yeah. I'm still looking for Adesina's children. The school doesn't exist anymore, by the way.
Okay.
I'm still looking for her children, her grandchildren, wherever they are in the world, just to say thank you to them and let them know the kind of mother or grandmother that they had. And the impact her life has had on a little girl like me.
Oh, that's awesome. What did you call her name again? Mrs. Christiana Aduke Adesina?
Yes.
Okay.
And the name of the school was Admisery Nursery Primary Institution. I like to say that institution.
Okay. Thank you so much, Toyin. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. That's a big thing that she did. It meant that she was selfless. She was dying, yet she kept you back in school. She didn't even think to herself, what's her business? After all, I'm dying. If this girl wants to graduate from this school, let her graduate or what? She still left an instruction that you shouldn't be taken away from the school. I think that's a very noble thing that she did. Thank you so much, Toyin, for joining us. I really appreciate you. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So we had a story of Mrs. Christiana Aduke Adesina, how she helped to change the trajectory of one person's life. Miss Adesina has since gone, but her name is still living. The other side of the coin is a story from Funlola Davis. Funlola said, they called me an Emere. And that means that the person has a malevolent spirit. Now, Emere in traditional Yoruba culture is a child who can travel between the spiritual and physical. They are believed to be more powerful than witches. They believe that most often they die on a particular day of joy, weddings, and graduation. That's the definition. So let's go deep down into Funlola Davis' story. She said, my mother died when I was 8 years old. My parents were separated before that time, and because I was the last born, I was the only one my mother took with her when she left my father's house. There were 5 of us. When she died, I had to go and live with my father and stepmother. My stepmother was a typical stepmother, so I wasn't surprised at how she treated me. My siblings thought I would do better with my aunt, my mother's sister, and they found a way to transport me to Abuja without my father's knowledge. They thought I was better off with my mother's sister, but seriously, they should have left me. My father later found out I was my aunt, and he just figured I would be fine there, so he didn't bother. My father and aunt went best of friends. My aunt had even warned my mother not to marry my dad. My aunt and my mother were the only children their parents had. She was very comfortable. She had 2 children who were all abroad. I think that was the reason why my siblings felt I would be better off with her. They thought that she would give me a very good life, just like she was giving her children. This my aunt showed me when. It was all good initially. She attended one of these indigenous African churches and had a lot of prophets and prophetesses visit her. She always took their word and prophecy for it. She had lots of money to give out, and I guess the more problematic prophecies they cooked up, the more they were able to access her money. I started with telling her I was there to ruin her business. They said my father was using me as a tool to destroy our business. So my aunt took me from church to church, prophet to prophets. The so-called prophets will give prophecies such as, this child could be great in future, but there's a huge hindrance away. I went from one deliverance program to another. Some included old men taking me to the streams to do deliverance baiting. They cooked up all sorts of lies. At the end of the day, they will collect prayer money when they are done. Okay. There was a point that I was told I would live in the church for special deliverance. I was there for 40 days. 10 years old, in church for 40 days. One of my siblings came to Abuja, and she was directed to see me in the church. I could see tears streaming down her face when she saw the condition I was in. They would not even send me food in the name of fasting for my deliverance. Every lazy prophet or prophetess living in that church would have a dream about me doing something or the other because they knew that it would attract money for them. My aunt came one day, and one of them called me and told me to tell my aunt the dream I had overnight. I told them I didn't have any dream. She insisted that I did and that I should try and remember. I had to come up with a dream I didn't have. I told them what they would love to hear. I told them that I was in the midst of my friends and they told me to eat and I refused. That seemed to please them and I was released. Later, they told my aunt that my spiritual commitment to the so-called underworld was very deep and I had to go through more rigorous spiritual exercise. My aunt decided to take me to our village to my grandmother's younger brother, who was a native doctor. There I was given all sorts of concoction, and they also incised my face and palms with blade, and I ended up with tiny tribal marks. I got tired at a time and attempted suicide twice. I was just tired. At every attempt, she would still laugh and tell me no one would miss me or mourn me. The prophetess still continued with their story, and my aunt sent me back to my father after 2 years. I was glad to go back because she had become mean to me, and she called me all sorts of names. I had become the house girl in the house. She came to my school to tell the principal once that I stole fried fish from the pot and that I had boyfriends. The first year in the school, I had won the best student during the academic session. She told the principal that I was using the brain of the other students, that I wasn't intelligent on my own. Anyway, I was glad to leave. The day she told me I was leaving, we had morning devotion that day, and she prayed that the action that she was about to take may it not boomerang. Immediately after that, she told me to go and pack my things, that I should go back to my father's house. She told one of her cousins to take me back, and I was so glad to return to my wicked stepmother. At least, that one only maltreated me. She didn't call me a Mary or anything. The story about how my stepmother treated me after I came back from Abuja is another story on its own. Anyway, I grew up in a very horrible setup, but made up my mind to be kind-hearted and treat other people better. My aunt is still alive, but in a very terrible state. She's very sick, and her children all live abroad. She suffered so much in the hands of domestic helps and caregivers. I imagine if she treated me better, I would probably have ended up building a life for myself in Abuja, and I'll be able to take care of her there. I do not hate her in any way. I do my quota for her from Lagos. I believe she acted in the best way she thought at that time. What I want people to know, however, is that whatever child you come in contact with, do your best for that child, because time changes. Life is a circle. Always remember that in another 30 years, a 10-year-old child will turn 40. And a 40-year-old woman now will be 70. And that woman will depend on that child who was 10, 30 years ago. Wow. That story looks like unbelievable, but it's a story that I can relate to. I can relate to that story. And you see that there are two sides of a coin. A proprietress who was nice to a child, and the child still remembers this proprietress years after. And an aunt who could have done better for her niece, but didn't. What that tells us is that you could leave a legacy of goodness and kindness, or a legacy of wickedness. And we can see that happening in these two stories. It's a new year. I would really want us to pause and think about how we can treat people better, about how we can impact people's life, about how you can change the life of one person at a time, and we would have a better world to live. What do you think? Let's meet in the comment section and let us talk about this. Till next time when I come your way again, I remain Busola Daily Davids. Before you leave, please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Thank you.